Alright, today is the day that we do the front suspension. Now, one of the first things that everybody asks when they see this car is, what's up with the front suspension? So, what I think happened is that somebody decided it would be cool to put drop springs on the car. So either they cut the factory ones or they got a set of new ones and cut those. The reason why I say that is because I only see about five coils. And if you put the big block engine on top of that, drop it down on the ground, it's not going to work out very well. So it was kind of rubbing right here on the fender, so they messed with the alignment of the tire to get it to fit. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to pretty much just replace springs. It's also how you disassemble the front suspension. So if you want to go ahead and replace your bushings and your ball joints and all that fun stuff, you can. This is just how to take it apart. So let's get started. Alright, so here is the front suspension. And so the first thing that you want to do is you want to go ahead and take off your brake caliper. So you have a bolt right here and a bolt right here. The best thing to do is once you get that off, you slide it through here between the spindle and the frame, and then you zip tie it to the frame right here. That's what I always do. The reason why is that now I don't have to disconnect the brake system and bleed the brakes all over again. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, once you have the caliper off, go ahead and put the hose part toward the bottom and then just slide it on through like that. Okay? And then come over here with your zip ties that are already threaded through the frame. Go ahead, run it. I like to just do it around the top. Now these calipers are pretty heavy. What you want to make sure that you do is that you reduce any kind of stress that would go on the flexible line, because you don't want to damage anything inside of there, and then guess what, you're going to have to do a brake job and bleed them and buy new lines and blah blah blah. So I like to get it clear of the tie rod, since that has to come out when you lower down the A-arm anyway. So go ahead and do it like this, and then boom. So it's hung, no stress, not leaking, ready to go. Time to move on to the next thing. Alright, after you get done moving the brake caliper, if your rotors are not original, these ones are, so they're riveted on, you can't get them off. But for example, on my car, the rotors I had replaced, so I removed them to make this a little bit easier. But you can go ahead and do that. Also, since you have the wheel off, you can spin that, listen to the wheel bearings. You shouldn't hear any noise really at all. Make sure those are good. So next, you need to remove everything from the lower control arm before you let it down. So first is going to be your sway bar and your bushings. So 9/16 on the top, 9/16 on the bottom. That slides out, done. Next is your shock. You're going to have two on the bottom. You're going to have two 1/2 inch bolts to take off, and then your shock comes up inside here and pops through the A-arm. You can see it's right there. So take that out, and then last is going to be your tie rod end into your spindle. So nut on the top, and then I like to hit it with a bunch of penetrating oil first. That's why I like to do this one last. And then you can go ahead and get a tie rod end remover or a pickle fork and get that out. Just try to not bust up these boots, because obviously this one's new, so it's been replaced before. So yeah, and then after that we will go ahead and I'll show you how to lower everything down without getting killed. One thing I do want to point out to you guys is, take a look at this. So this spring is not seated correctly in the A-arm, and the reason I believe is because it's not in the pocket up above. And you can see from right here, it's been rubbing on the frame whenever it goes up and down. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to correctly seat them and put them in right, because if you don't put them in the right way, they're going to hit your frame and you'll have issues. So luckily I have a set of control arms that just came off of my Corvette, where I can replace this bumper and also get a clip for the shock mount, which is missing. But yeah, let's go ahead and raise it down. In order to do that, I want you to put your jack just like this. So I've disconnected everything from the lower control arm. So the shock, the tie rod end, the caliper, and also the sway bar mount. So what you need to do is put your jack up like this. Make sure it's at least a 2-ton jack, if not better, and lift it up so that there is some pressure between the jack and the lower arm. And then from there, what I like to do is go ahead and loosen up this nut. So you want to be careful, because if you do it too fast, the arm's could drop and the spring could shoot out. But since we have the jack there, it should be okay. I'm also going to go ahead and do the top one because I know it's been apart before, or at least sometime recently, so it should be easier to get out. Again, you're probably going to need something like this in order to bust the ball joint out of the spindle. Alright, once you get the ball joint loose, since the jack is holding up the arm, you don't have to worry about it popping. What I like to do is hold this up with this hand, and then the top should pop off like that. And then you just let this kind of dangle, push this A-arm up. So now you're completely free, and you can go ahead and lower the jack down, and the A-arm should come down, and the spring should pop out. Since this is such a tiny little bitty spring, I'm not really worried about it. So there it is. And as I was expecting, take a look at that. It's been cut. Why people do that, I don't know. But here's the thing. It wasn't working out, was it? So there's that. And then this stupid, I don't know why in the world they needed this. I guess they cut it too short. But that can go away because you don't need this with stock springs. So that's garbage. Alright, so here is a stock spring. You can tell the difference between that one and this one. So if you look at these ends, they have to fit in a groove in the bottom of the A-arm and the top of the frame. And if you look, they're opposite of each other. Alright, so you have your first, I'm going to see if you can't see this, but there's a divot. You see it right there, how it goes down a little bit farther? That's where the front, or that's where the bottom of the spring needs the seat. And there's an equivalent one up here in the spring pocket. See if you can see it. It's right there by that hole. See that? So the other half of the spring needs to sit in there. And if they don't sit correctly in these pockets, then you have issues. Assembly is reverse of the same thing. So what I like to do is get the top of the spring in the pocket first, and then the bottom will line up all by itself. If you're doing this with stock springs and they're a little bit longer than the dumb ones I just pulled out, one way you can do it is lower the jack all the way down, and then from the other side get a 2x4 and pop it out, and that way the spring will come out and you don't worry about getting hit with it. So yeah, let's go ahead and put it all back together. Alright boys, after many hours we finally got, ta-da, the springs put in. So those are big block springs from my other 73. And yeah, so right there is the old one. It's amazing. I mean, this is a stock spring basically cut in half. There's probably 4 or 5 coils missing out of it.